Xiaomi. I think most people have very little interaction with Xiaomi as a brand outside of their appliances, but there's a rabid fan base that cares a lot about their phones. And for good reason. These are actually really good phones. They're affordable, they're packed with flagship features, and have a very iPhone-like experience. So a lot of people coming over to Android from iPhone really do like switching over to Xiaomi. Now, the 14T is no exception in this. And I do, however, think that not everybody should want to buy this phone or should buy this phone. I think it does a lot of things well and a few things not so well. And that's actually by design to get it to this price point. And if you're happy with the trade-offs that they make to obviously get it to this pace, then the 14T is definitely a phone that's worth considering. But if you're looking for a complete flagship competitor, then I'm not sure that you're going to be completely happy with the 14T. And I guess that's why Xiaomi has the 14T Pro, right? All right, let's just get under the hood. No, I'm joking. The display is a 6.67-inch AMOLED with 144 Hz AI refresh rate. Now, the website says that it's got 144 Hz with an asterisk. Now, I try to find out what this meant, like why would they put that there? Thinking that maybe they interpolated or like add extra frames or simulate 144 Hz. But no, actually, in fact, it is a peak of 144 Hz, which is awesome. That performance obviously depends on the games that you play or the apps that you're using at the time, hence why they added that asterisk. And I thought that was a silly thing to do because that goes without explanation, right? I assume everybody watching this video knows that. It's IP68 dust and water resistant, has dual SIM, and in some versions has eSIM support, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.4, and drumroll please, this is probably one of my favorite features, an IR blaster. So for those of you who don't know, it's an infrared blaster at the top here like you'd have on a TV remote, and you use this with an app called Xiaomi Remote. That's accessible, by the way, if you just drag down the app tray from the top of the screen. And I think this is brilliant. Every phone should have this. This means that you can have like a television remote or any remote around for any device in your house that's easily accessible from your phone. That's as reliable as the remote that came with your TV or your air conditioner or whatever, except that you probably won't lose it because it's in your phone and it's not in one of 20 remote controls hidden behind your couch. I need to mention though that I did have a little bit of trouble programming the television remote that I had. It's a weird game of finding the right remote for the model TV that you have, especially if you don't know what kind of TV that you've got. But even that's not explicit. They kind of try to jerry-rig everything. But once it's done, you're good to go and you can just save it. Brilliant. On the security front, which obviously is super important, it's got an under-screen fingerprint reader and an AI face unlock, which is nice. And the face unlock feels relatively fast, but I've had a few iffy moments with the fingerprint sensor. That could always be done better. It comes in some great colors. By the way, it comes with lemon green, Titan black, Titan gray, and Titan blue. I don't know why they just didn't call it like Titan green. Because why not keep the naming convention? Maybe Titan green is, I don't know. Lemon green is probably my favorite looking one. And it also comes with a pre-installed screen protector, which is good and bad. Let me just quickly, why I don't like pre-installed screen protectors is that it doesn't instill a lot of trust in the quality of glass on the front of the screen. But I think you know that when you're going in, right, to buy a 14T. So I think overall it's a good thing. They're improving the experience of using a phone like this and the longevity of it. But at the same time, it's, you know, you get these little bubble marks and it's not great. Oh, and like scratches, the screen is already getting scratched. Again, the screen is fine. Maybe when you will sell it, you can whip this off and sell it without the screen protector on, but you know. When taking a look at storage, you're gonna have to take a very close look at specs that are available to you. So you get an 8 gigs of RAM version that's got 128 gigs or 256 gigs of storage. And those SKUs are, you know, probably gonna be some of the most popular ones. Or if you are like a power user, you can get like 12 gigs of RAM with a 512 gigs of storage. They don't have expandable storage, or at least not in the version I've got, and I actually don't think there is a version with expandable storage, which unfortunately would be very nice. This is more of a mid-range phone. A lot of mid-range phones these days have expandable storage, so come on, Xiaomi, you could do it. I believe in you. Oh, and it's got no headphone jack either, so surprise. Finally, it's running MIUI 14 that's based on Android 14 straight out of the box. Those of you like MIUI, you're gonna like this, right? That's what you want. Let's look through the lens. The camera system was co-engineered by Leica, a truly spectacular camera company that's, chosen to put their name on this technology. It's right on the back. It's huge, actually, on the back. And for good reason. I think Xiaomi have done some really amazing things with photography in general across their range. And Leica must have been a really big part of it, right? But in a very confusing bit of marketing for the average person going to buy one of these phones, Xiaomi have added a Sony sensor. So this is a Xiaomi smartphone, and they've partnered with Leica, which is a camera company, to add a Sony sensor, like inside of this thing, which is another camera company, to create the photographic experience that you get out of it. If we somehow put the same amount of companies together for other projects, maybe we could do stuff like, fix climate change. To make things a little bit simpler, Leica make the lenses while Sony is doing the sensor, of course, and then the software is Xiaomi's software. But they do have some cool Leica software, which I'll get into. On the rear of the phone, you get 3 cameras. I mean, it looks like 4, but this little 4th one over here is a flash. This is not a camera. It's a flash. The main camera is a Leica 23mm 50 megapixel camera with an f-stop of 1.7, which should produce some really creamy background blur, and it's got optical image stabilization. The telephoto camera is 50mm, has an f-stop of 1.9, and is also a beautiful 50 megapixels, which is nice. And finally, the ultra-wide is a 50mm lens with a 120-degree field of view. It's got 12 megapixels, and it's got an f-stop of 2.2. Now, the hero here is the main camera, obviously. It's got an aperture as low as 1.7, which is bonkers. And it's got that Sony 1-inch sensor, so low-light video and photography should and could be incredible. Let me clarify. Let's talk about that. That Leica software that they've built into the camera is really cool. It's got Leica filters, and I think, again, remember when Fuji brought out their point and shoots with their filters built into it, which is really cool and became very popular on social media. I really felt like it's a huge miss from mobile carriers, right? Or mobile phones. Why aren't they in smartphone? And why are they implemented so badly? They look like Instagram filters. These Leica ones actually look really good. So I'm very glad that they've done that, but they only work on the rear camera, which is a bummer. Like, what are they thinking? People take selfies. It's bewildering because there are other filters that are available in selfie mode. You can add the system filters. So it's strange to have on a system level side, 2 different sets of filters. Why didn't Leica just do all the filters? Why have other filters when there are Leica filters? It makes me think that when Leica was signing this contract or whatever the case is, Leica weren't happy with the selfie camera's performance or something. They've just excluded it there. But strangely, the filters also aren't uniform across all these different modes. Some of them aren't available on portrait mode, but only available on video mode, which is very odd. So again, it's just frustrating. It's such a cool feature, but the lack of uniformity is just it's bewildering that they didn't do that. But once you get to know your phone and use it the way you want to, and you find a filter that you like, you're probably only going to use that focal length to take those photos anyway. But I know, for instance, a lot of people that aren't as tech savvy as potentially yourself are probably going to pick up the phone and just get really confused as to where that feature went, you know what I mean? It's got this thing called movie mode, which is pretty awesome for those of us who shoot a lot of video on our phones. It's got auto focus lock, which is awesome. So it'll just track that particular part of the subject for the entire video. And you can also change the kind of blur that you get. So the bokeh behind it, so you can get regular or wide. And it's that kind of blur to simulate cinema cameras. But again, strange enough, the main lens is the only one that's available to it. Part of me goes why did they even bother with other lenses on this thing? Because all the cool stuff is hidden outside of that. It's like you've got a whole bunch of cars in your garage, and one is a sports car, and the other ones are for driving to the shops. You know what I mean? It's just weird. Why would you have it there? It's also got something called Master Cinema, and I really appreciate this because I think this is the first Android company that's stepping up and taking Apple head on here. It's got 10-bit rec, so it's got a shooting in log kind of, HLG and 4K 30 FPS. This means that it's got a wider color gamut. It's not Apple log, but it's easier to manipulate when you want to post something. So Apple log is still better technically on paper, but for again, for content creators who are using their phones, unless you are using a cinema camera, you actually value that kind of thing. But 10-bit recording is, or 10-bit rec is really nice. It's also really nice for keying green screen, by the way, if that's something you want to do with your phone. And just having a wider color gamut means that the footage looks more like what it would look like coming out of a really expensive mirrorless or cinema camera. All of this, by the way, has to be edited really nicely in post, but again, it's not log, so it doesn't look gray. It still looks pretty good. There's this other really cool feature called director mode. To be honest, at this point of the video while I'm recording this, I haven't actually tried this out. I've got a 12T Pro. I should actually update that and see if this works out. But you can set up other devices as other cameras and have access to a full professional camera system. So if you've got a Xiaomi tablet or a Xiaomi 12T Pro or a Xiaomi 13, you can put them all together and basically bring all the footage together in a director mode, which is awesome, because it's something that I've liked about Samsung's director mode is that it uses all the cameras on the device. But the frustrating part is that you might want different angles, not different lenses, right? That's the difference. The only different angle you got is your front-facing camera and the rear cameras. You want to be able to like cut between other cameras in a scene. So here are my thoughts on the camera system as a whole. I think it's very hit or miss when it comes to like the quality of the images that you're capturing. Sometimes you take the greatest photo that you've ever taken in your life. Like there's some spectacular shots. Other times, under the exact same conditions, you yield garbage footage, like absolute garbage. And the inconsistency is a little bit of a nightmare. And I assume that that's just the AI that's just not carrying itself properly, which is disappointing because the hardware is so good, right? We've got really good specs here. And the good shots are just way better than you'd expect. And in some ways, better than any other phone that I've actually used, because they're just beautiful. And obviously that's a taste thing, but they are just, to me, extremely beautiful. So you know what they're capable of. So why is that just not a constant expectation? If you're happy to get a couple of shots in order to get the one shot, right, then it's a trade-off that I'm sure that you're going to be okay with. But for me, it's extremely frustrating, and I hope that Xiaomi really ups the consistency part of the image production in their new iteration, whether that's the 15T or the 15T Pro, whatever they bring out next. I think they really need to do that. They need to do Xiaomi justice and they need to do Leica justice here, because they're on the brink of something very, very cool. There is a whole bunch of AI stuff. Speaking about AI stuff, there's something called AI image editing and AI film in the camera for better quality shots. But if you're a purist, you're likely to turn all of that off. It's got all of that normal Google AI stuff, like it's got interpreter, it's got circle to search, it's got like Google Gemini. All that stuff is built into here, which is great. It's a new generation phone. You kind of expect that. When it comes to gaming, this is a very, very, very cool gaming phone. I have to admit, it kind of blew me away. I think the hint was that it's 144 hertz. I was a bit skeptical when I saw the asterisk, but I get it now. There's a touch sampling rate over and above that of 480 hertz. So the difference between the display's 144 hertz like refresh rate and the touch sampling rate, it's using a 480 hertz signal for touch sampling. So it means that you just are way more responsive. You know, where 144 hertz display is frames that it's delivering to you. The 480 hertz is the touch input that's going to the game. Does that make sense? I hope I phrased that in a way that means something to somebody. It's got 4,000 nits of peak brightness, which is really bright, so playing games is really great. And it's got a really good processor. MediaTek are pumping this out. It's got a MediaTek Dimensity 8300 Ultra, which is really cool. And Xiaomi have even included their own cooling system called Ice Loop, that keeps the phone relatively cool. Oh, and it's worth touching that they've got this really cool gaming software as an overlay. Samsung also have something like it, but I kind of prefer what Xiaomi are doing here. This seems way more practical. It's like gamers actually made some of these features, including just like performance boosters. You can just like basically trash all your cache while you're playing a game just to beef up the performance to get a higher refresh rate on some of those games. And even if your game doesn't support a higher refresh rate, you do want to push as many frames as possible. There's a whole discussion on that. It's not for this video, but even when you're on PC and you are playing on I play on a 240 hertz monitor, you want to make sure that you're getting a consistent frame rate, but like one that's slightly over 240 hertz. You know, that's always better. So that's really cool that they've done that. Anyway, the battery is my least impressive part of the gaming side of things, but I think it's because it's just doing so much more than other phones in this range. I think a lot of other phones nerf performance in favor of battery life, which if you're playing a game, sometimes is not something that you'd like. But it's got a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which is really good. The real hero here is that it's got 67 watt wired fast charging, and they call this HyperCharge. It doesn't come with a power adapter in the box, but that is absolutely massive. It is so fast. It's basically charging as fast as many laptops charge. 67 watts is bonkers. I'm going to include some recommendations for power adapters that do work with this in my description. I do make affiliate revenue from that, but just go check those out. And it's definitely worth investing in if you've bought a 14T or any actual device that supports a faster charging. Getting a power brick that supports that is great, because also those power bricks often charge your notebooks as well, like your MacBooks and everything. That's cool. There's a big part of the Xiaomi fandom that was going to be happy to know that there's a whole bunch of themes that are available on this thing. Themes are a big part of this Xiaomi experience for a lot of people. Xiaomi do it best, to be honest with you. I see a lot of people going, here's Android customization versus Apple customization on TikTok, but Xiaomi quite quietly and consistently beat everybody. And I'm even talking about Samsung with their theme park project that they built. I find that the Xiaomi consistently has the better themes on the theme store, and most of them are free. And if people, I don't know why they don't shout this out, because now Apple have brought out their customization. Xiaomi's just quietly at the front of the pack. They need to say something. I did say that this was a mid-range phone. So let's compare this with some similar phones in its price range. The Xiaomi 14T is priced competitively in this mid-range market, even amongst itself in the space. So here's a common consensus on how it stacks up against other competitors. And disclaimer here, I haven't tried all of these phones. I've tried some, but I need to let you kind of in on what other people are saying about this in comparison to other phones. Well, the top three similarly priced phones are the Google Pixel 8a, the Samsung Galaxy A55, and the Realme GT Neo 6. By the way, you can go watch my Samsung Galaxy A55 video on my other channel, Galaxy Unlocked, where I focus exclusively on Samsung products. And that's also a banger of a phone. The Google Pixel 8a, the consensus is that while the Pixel offers better software support and camera AI, the Xiaomi 14T takes the lead in display quality and battery capacity, as well as that fast charging.